What's up, y'all? It's Andy. I know you miss me doing the theme songs and whatnot, and my voice in general, but sorry, you're stuck with these dudes now. So 2 years ago, some fellow ladies and I watched Death Becomes Her, and we did an excellent, thorough review. But for some reason, well, it's probably in the spirit of the current climate, some wums that run this podcast, that's white, unqualified males, have decided they need to do a review. They need to redo it because, DEI and everything. So here you go. Here's the white, unqualified male perspective on Death Becomes Her.
Shout out.
That's cinema, baby.
No, Mr. Wilson. I don't have to take that kind of talk from anyone.
That's right, you don't. How about going outside and trying to kick me around?
I'm not supposed to fight with the guests, Mr. Wilson.
I'm not a guest tonight, you yellow bastard. I happen to be an intruder.
Hello and welcome to The Good, the Pod, and the Ugly, a film podcast where we pair films to garner a better understanding of the filmographies of notable directors or actors. That's what we usually do. This year is a little different. The season is a little different. We're doing a Redux season. I am your co-host, Ken.
Thomas.
I am Ryan, the third co-host.
And we are joined this season and last season by Jack,
Hi.
Our former co-host.
Co-host at large.
Co-founder.
Yes.
Yeah. So usually what we do on The Good, the Pod, and the Ugly, we do the deep dive and all that stuff. If you're listening to this, you know. But this season, we have elected to each pick two films that we've already covered to revisit for various reasons that we will explain. One of Thomas's is Death Becomes Her. Woo! And that's what we're covering this week.
Yeah, I'm looking at the DVD here from the Multnomah County Library. Before she wore Prada or went into the woods, Meryl Streep inhabited the role of romance novelist and chief antagonist Mary Fisher and director Susan Seidenberg's dark comedy She-Devil, based on. Wait, are we not doing She-Devil? I thought. Fuck. Okay.
Do you make Lee dress up like Roseanne Barr in the She-Devil?
You don't. Why? Don't ask questions you do not want the answers to.
So I agreed to this season for two reasons. I guess one's a condition and one's a rationale. The condition was that we would rewatch The Whale, meaning that Ryan would watch it for the first time. He is on that podcast. The second was that the audio quality of the first few seasons wasn't great. And so when it came around to being able to pick a movie, I wanted to do, because I think we all have at least one Eastwood that we're going to rewatch that we've picked. I wanted to pick something. I wanted to just basically do a Streep with Ryan, right? And especially a comedy, because we don't do enough comedies on this episode, episodes. So I wanted a comedy. I wanted to do Adaptation, but that got nixed. They said, no, Thomas, we've already done it twice. We did it once for Cage, and then we did it for Streep. We can't do it a third time with Ryan. So
I did not push back on that one. I just want to be on the record.
So Ryan, who was totally open to it, was told that he could not talk about Adaptation on this episode or any episode this season. So, okay. So maybe we could do another Streep comedy. And so anyhow, this week we're doing 1986 She-Devil. No, I guess in all seriousness, Ken mentioned that halfway through watching the film, he went and smoked a joint and then finished out She-Devil. So we just needed to watch it again, guys. We just had to do this episode pairing She-Devil with High Plains Drifter. Thank you all so much. So 2 things that these have in common. Someone gets moved out of a residence. They enlist people with their quest. You know, the nurse, Linda Hunt from Popeye. She's working there with Roseanne Barr. Oh, both of these movies have bars in common. Okay, that bit's gone on for too long.
Are you still going?
I'm still going.
I haven't
still
seen
going.
She-Devil since the 80s, so I don't even know if this is what you're fucking talking about.
It is the worst film we've ever watched on the podcast.
Bar none.
Bar none.
Oh. So during the original episode that we record, or not we, that was recorded, only Jack appears on it with his uncle.
Shut up.
For Death Becomes Her, we didn't get, none of us really talked about the film. But during that discussion, both sets of it, both Lee, Andy, and Meg in the first half, and then the second half talked about the special effects, Jack and his uncle. Both sets of those people, unsolicited, talk about She-Devil. It is a movie that has staying power. And during that episode, at some point, Jack says to his uncle, you will watch the film and get back to me. And we haven't had a follow-up. We don't know what he thinks about it. Though he wasn't sold on Death Becomes Her because he thought the acting was a little too cartoonish. Jack seemed to have kind of liked it. And the ladies loved the film. Mm-hmm. Just like they liked She-Devil. But they liked Death Becomes Her a little bit better. This is the reason. Like, going back, I wanted to do a Streep with Ryan. My She-Devil was nixed. Adaptation, no. So here we are, I guess, doing a movie that was perfectly well covered by 5 other people. Death Becomes Her.
Woo!
Yeah! What an introduction.
In my defense, the adaptation Redux, I eventually agreed to do it if I could do the entire episode in character as my twin brother. Jack and Andy can attest that I even was practicing my brother the entire time.
Yeah, he shaved his head and everything.
I'm still okay. Let's do it. Hard left turn. We're throwing out Death Becomes Her. We'll erase Andy's bumper. And we're gonna do adaptation for the 3rd time.
Yes, let's do it.
We'll
do it so hard.
You guys are gonna have to describe the movie to me because I haven't seen it in several years. And then
Death
I'll
Becomes
weigh
Her?
in. No, adaptation.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll weigh in. As the description rolls out.
Well, I've already picked things that both High Plains Drifter, which we covered last week, Jack's pick, and our inaugural episode for this season 14, and Death Becomes Her have in common. So I'm just going to read through some of those.
Okay. For real. Death Becomes Her and High Plains Drifter, the act of painting is important. Mm-hmm.
Someone falls from a great height.
Uh-huh.
Hell is mentioned in both. One is a person's name, and the other is painted on a sign. Someone is given everything by a desperate person or persons. Mm-hmm. So Rossellini is whatever you want, right? A check. Mm-hmm. Hey, both have a director starring in the film who directs a film with Streep in it that we've covered on this podcast.
Oh,
what?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the first movie, it stars somebody named Clint Eastwood who would direct Streep in Bridges of Madison County. And Death Becomes Her, Sidney Pollack had previously directed Streep in
Out of Africa.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty obvious.
That's
both
pretty
are
cool.
distributed by Universal Pictures. Both someone's thrown a shovel. They both have gunshots near a body of water. Both someone comes back from the dead. Right? Both people are offended about being called cheap, the townspeople, and Streep's character. Both a woman consumes food in the most disgusting of manners. The fried chicken and the, I guess, just, what is it, icing? Straight from the container?
Yeah.
And in both, a woman questions a male's manhood. One is the townspeople. One of them is said to have no balls, and of course, flaccid. And this film, Death Becomes Her, 1992, the year of Wearables, of the Neon God, Last of the Mohicans, and Unforgiven.
Oh, wow. What a year.
Good year.
And Death Becomes Her.
Whatever.
We didn't cover Honeymoon in Vegas, but yeah, those are all three films that we have covered previously.
Ryan, since I guess Thomas and we never talked about this. So Jack obviously seen it before. What about you guys? Ryan?
Yes, I've seen this probably... Well, I saw it a lot because it was on HBO a lot as a teenager. So we had HBO, so there were probably a lot of weekends spent watching this thing. And then
How about you, Thomas?
I watched it.
I didn't have HBO. I'm a millennial. We had. I'm sorry. I guess I'm a Zoomer technically. We have Max.
Okay.
No, I didn't watch it much growing up. I think I had seen bits and pieces of it, and I didn't actually start listening to it until start watching it until I had heard that it was like big on RuPaul's Drag Race. That it had been, that had a lot of camp value, and I was like, oh wow, I should definitely check that out.
Wow, that's a weird entryway into Death Becomes Her. When I worked at a movie theater in 1992, we ran this movie. It was a small town, lots of baby boomers, and they fucking loved this movie. It played forever.
Forever?
Forever. It's still playing, even though and I didn't watch it again until 2 years ago when I watched it with Andy before she recorded that episode. So probably the last time I'll ever watch it, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, you didn't watch it for this?
I did. I watched it last night. I rewatched it with Jack.
Now, whatever he says on this podcast, I want you to hear me and believe that he was laughing throughout the whole movie. So whatever he says about the quality of it, he had a good time. I promise.
Okay. I guess I'm done with this episode. Jack just gave my reaction. See you guys next week.
Well, now you can do your twin.
Yeah, we're gonna need a second opinion.
I need to do a lot of practice before I could do my gym voice.
Is it your gym voice is just a bunch of testosterone or steroids shot into your butt? And
yeah, it's a lot of grunting from the a lot of thunking of the barbells on the ground. Lots of sweat left on the machines.
The susurration of those ropes is you.
Yeah. Yep, that's me. And flipping the tires over.
No,
they're Hot Wheel tires, but whatever.
What are we talking about?
Death Becomes Thomas, did you like this
She-Devil?
Thomas, what's better, She-Devil or Death Becomes Her?
Oh my god!
It's like that's Sophie's Choice, man. That's a different movie. That's so hard to say. Like for special effects, Death Becomes Her. Death Becomes Her has better special effects.
I mean, Death Becomes Her, if you're doing something and you have it on the background, I think it's a great movie. If you are doing something like preparing for your death by your own hand, then She-Devil is obviously the perfect movie.
What, with sticking a fork in the microwave? What does she do to blow up the house?
Oh yeah, okay. I rewatched it.
No, I didn't
think so. She puts a fork in the blender, and then she puts aerosol cans in the microwave. Nope. There's two other things that she does. I'm trying to remember, guys.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up. I'm sorry. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Get back in the studio.
It turns out, as an adult, I am allergic to Robert Zemeckis. I have no joy. I loved his movies as a child, and I have no joy with them as an adult. It's me, probably.
Bob Robert Zemeckis, like we do Donald Siegel, sounds better than Bobbert. Sounds too much.
I really like Bobbert.
Yeah,
it is a little like Bobert, I suppose.
So that. Robert Zemeckis at this time, this was pre-Forrest Gump and post Back to the Futures is,
And Roger Rabbit. Probably
and
one of the
Roger
greatest
Rabbit.
films ever
He
made.
was
In
was at his peak.
In my
of
mind,
power.
this is post Forrest Gump, so that's fascinating.
No,
But
it's
what you're
wrong.
saying makes sense.
It's pre.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this also, I think, was like a canary in the coal mine, as Forrest Gump was, of where Zemeckis would take his talents. He took his talents into the virtual world, to the detriment of most of his films subsequently.
Yes, and this is a great, as many movies of this period were bridge between those two eras.
Yeah.
filmmaking.
I personally think Forrest Gump is too. The Oscar stuff kind of gets it all muddled, but that is one of the great baby boomer movies.
There's few things I hate in this life as much as I hate Forrest Gump.
Same. I've never seen it though. I guess Thomas and I are the only ones with some joy and whimsy around here. It sounds like you two old farts are just.
It should be said.
You already said that. I laughed throughout the entire thing. I enjoyed it. I'm a Kep hater, as you all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to defend my David Kep hateness. I don't think he's a bad writer. I think he's actually a great writer to be able to collaborate with so many different directors on such a high level in Hollywood. My problem with Kep is he is the ultimate example of an idea that nobody hates. Nothing he does, like, we're film fans, so we remember movies that transcend for us, and we're not sure why some movies affect us so much because they're reaching for something that maybe even the director can't articulate. And Kep is the total opposite of that. It's never going to get that far out of hand that it transcends and becomes better than the sum of its parts.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I think like and I think Joel Schumacher is really the same thing for me as a director. And an idea that nobody hates is never going to be one that people are totally in love with.
Nobody hated Batman and Robin?
I see what you mean. Kep also wrote and directed The Trigger Effect, which has a very similar three-legged relationship dynamic in the middle of it. But it's one woman and two men vying for her attention, but really being at odds with themselves. And the combination is fascinating about whatever's going on in that dude's mind. I'll tell you what, if you look at both those films. Mm-hmm. But I also don't like comedies, and I'm not trying to shit on this movie, Thomas and Jack. I hope you guys had a good time with it. It's a personal issue.
So your problems with it is just you can't get past the Zemeckis-ness of it all.
The tone is so juvenile. He's such a silly person. Mm-hmm. And that is really my barrier. There is stuff he's done with the camera and with special effects and with storytelling is really amazing. I mean, Back to the Future is a phenomenon because despite how weird and perverted and juvenile it is, it's a perfectly made motion picture. It just doesn't work for me anymore as an adult. Back to the Future, that type of stuff was some of my favorite stuff growing up, and I don't have the patience for it. And there's not any other director that I've turned so much on as an adult, and so I don't even think it's his problem. I think it's my problem.
So what about Back to the Future do you bump up against? Or what's the Zemeckis thing that's the Zemeckis thing for you?
It is all of his movies has the same enthusiastic, horny 12-year-old boy energy. And that is default point of view that he represents in the world. Mm-hmm. And I love fucking Marvel. I love a lot of juvenile 12-year-old boy stuff in the world. For some reason, I think with Forrest Gump, with all the CG stuff that he's spent a lot of time and wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on, it's impossible for me to just go back and even Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Some of these movies that are 5-star pictures, and I would not argue with someone that they're not, but for me it's just I'm immune now.
Wow.
I was thinking about Zemeckis watching this film last night and the totality of his career, and I could not think of, maybe Used Cars, I could not think of one single movie of his that got close to approximating what we know as the real world. He creates like movie world movies, where it's like he's never stepped outside of a movie studio and seen how real people live, and that's either a feature or a bug depending on which movie you're going into. and how you feel about him. Totally.
I keep wanting to and have not, for whatever reason, seen Flight. I don't know if that holds true for that as well.
I have the same caveat. I have not seen it either.
I tried to watch that one, and it starts off with a gimme shelter needle drop while they're doing cocaine, and it was like, oh no, dog, like I can't.
Jesus Christ,
a Scorsese movie?
That's egregious.
Yeah, no, it's literally he's wearing aviator shades and a leather jacket like some mafioso, and they're in the bathroom doing coke, and Rolling Stones are playing. And
my friend showed me the scene with where John Goodman has a cameo in Flight, and that was pretty good on YouTube.com.
Oh, really?
Besides that, I haven't seen the movie.
Okay, I've seen the him like on trial and then the plane flying upside down. That's all I know.
So that's our review of Flight, directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Where was Roseanne Barr in her career in 1986, Thomas?
Yeah, so it was after the first year of Roseanne, which we talked a little bit about this on the original episode. She was very. She had come from stand-up and been brass and a mom. And one of the things that Ken bumped up against was leaving the children. And in my back of my head, I'm like, but Unforgiven, he leaves the kids with like the pigs. But I just, justice for She-Devil.
He's not smiling or laughing. He didn't find this funny at all, by the way.
No.
It's a visual descriptor.
Well, I'm glad it's an auditor. I guess we're not a visual medium, so we'll have to use our words, Ken. She-Devil, 1986. Thoughts?
Unlike Death Becomes Her, which is a visual medium. That's what we call a segue.
Did you enjoy the comedic picture Death Becomes Her, Thomas?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I picked it out, and I was a little surprised that you did not like it.
Me too. I'm really surprised that Ryan didn't like it.
I am too.
I wish it seems like something I should like. That's what I'm saying is like, I'm not.
This makes me scared of getting old. I want to stay my early 20s forever because if this is what it's like to lose
the sweet bird of youth. Yeah.
Well, we all have those weird hang-ups with directors that we bump up against. Like, I think Cronenberg is a perfectly great director who I just am completely allergic to. Uh-huh. So I understand that on some level. On the other hand, I can't imagine watching one of these early Zemeckis movies and not just being totally on board for a wacky, zany, fun ride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So one of the things I enjoy about this film, aside from its tone, and just throwing shade and some of the visual gags in it, like the nice cut of like, I'll never leave you. And then it's a wedding and they're getting married. And then, nope, he got married to Streep instead. Or we said this in the She-Devil episode. It's a pretty baller move to have your photo or your painting of yourself in your house, which is also true for Death Becomes Her. Streep also has a photo of herself or pictures of herself in like a Warhol fashion in her mansion.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of the storytelling where you don't get the fall from grace of the all-star hot shit plastic surgeon to becoming a morticianer.
Uh-huh.
And so I like how quickly the movie goes and how, without being totally tongue-in-cheek, self-aware, but to say things like another 7 years.
Yeah.
Jumping in time. So they acknowledge, but also just how quickly the movie moves this clip to be able to tell a story that's very similar to the bodies at the end parted. Like it's like a nice, happy, Hungry Man, frozen meal.
TV dinner?
TV
Hungry
dinner.
Man TV dinner?
Yeah. It feels like a TV dinner where you have compartmentalize these different segments from these set pieces. And for me, the entree, the Salisbury steak, as it were, is the special effects middle. But each portion, even the end, is this nice little bit of cobbler that's not quite warmed up with crystals in it. It's I love just sampling the entire film in this very mixed metaphor or tired, distressed metaphor of a TV dinner.
You could have just said a box of Mike and Ike's.
I really liked the extended Hungry Man.
Yes.
Yeah, so the movie, I mean, I love the Meryl Streep musical
Songbird,
with the hustle in it.
Which, if I don't know when this episode's going to air, but it was remade into a musical by Netflix and got 13 Oscar nominations.
It was?
No.
Oh. I don't know why I believe that.
Why would you believe that?
Because
13 is a modest number for.
Yeah, Songbird's no Amelia Perez, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I enjoy a movie that deals with aging. I enjoy a movie where Bruce Willis doesn't play a character that acknowledges that he's Bruce Willis, but is instead playing the character.
Yes.
One of my favorite Bruce Willis performances. And as an aside, don't ask me why, but a couple months ago I watched Burglar with Whoopi Goldberg in a role that was
how's she doing?
Man, et cetera. But
we mentioned her last episode. How's she doing?
Great. But in this movie, which is filmed in San Francisco, and it's probably the only reason I finished watching it, Bobcat Goldthwait plays her friend, and he is absolutely the funniest part of the movie. But the energy that Bruce Willis brings in this movie and the way he looks is so similar that I was struck that if his role had been played by Bob Goldthwait with his voice, it would have been just as funny as much as I love Bruce Willis in this. But very, very similar energy that he brings. And that's why it's a bit unique in Willis, because the further he went on his career, the more calcified he became in specific screen persona.
I'm picturing it, and immediately the movie and the character, because it's Bob. I can't ever say that guy's name. At the same time, there's and I'm picturing the scene that is the Bruce Willis character walking down a hallway. He's walking towards the camera, and they mention something about, he puts on some gloves because he's about to go work on a Telemundo star's body. And they mentioned something about he's very, very decayed or something, or he's I can't remember the exact line, but he tosses those gloves over his shoulder and gets thicker gloves on his hands. Like industrial waste type gloves on his hands. And it's all done deadpan. Like there's no acknowledgement that that's even going on as he's walking. It's just exposition. And it's done so cleverly without trying to hang a lantern on it. It's there. It doesn't dumb down.
Every time he is on screen, and it makes me feel bad because this is, the stars of the movie are Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep, who are both also great in this, but I don't feel they have as much to do, character-wise. And Bruce Willis by the end kind of becomes the moral center of the movie, as weird as that sounds. And it was also hard not to compare it to The Substance. Which Substance really feels like she took this idea but made it from a total woman's perspective in Hollywood and aging, and I think The Substance is just fucking great, like a masterpiece. And it's really hard not to see the white maleness behind the camera, and kind of the story keeps getting pulled to Willis's character being the moral center of it. That it's not, I can't really critique it because that's the movie that they made, but comparing it to The Substance, it really falls short on that count.
That's a really good point. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, I was very much reminded of The Substance, and specifically, obviously, that one being from a feminist point of view and going so much harder on some of this stuff.
Yes.
But The Substance also feels a little bit more focused. Well, I think this is a little bit airier of it has more room to breathe in this film, maybe because of that. Because even though Streep is an actress, Streep's character is an actress, we see movies that she's been in, as the posters of them.
Yeah.
By her obsessed friend, ex-friend, frenemy, eventually, Goldie Hawn's character, but we don't actually see her in any of those movies. And we don't see her post Formula being able to go in any of those movies.
Right.
So, like the professionalism and the career aspects of it are omitted.
And
It feels like Zemeckis would have a ton of fun, and maybe too much fun, and it would derail the movie, making clips from fake movies.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
That seems like it totally would have been up his alley.
I was really surprised at how I thought the cameo bits at the end of the big party with Elvis and stuff were fine, but just considering what Zemeckis was about to do with Forrest Gump, maybe this is where he got the idea or something, but I was surprised he didn't go really hard on CG Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall being in there, like stuff like that.
You want Humphrey Bogart to have a CGI hard-on? I'm just making sure I understood.
I mean, that is, he was a little drunk most of the time, but you could, I suppose, delete that from. So if you're gonna revive him.
I fell asleep as soon as Bruce Willis refused the vial or whatever and started running. So Elvis was in this? I'd forgotten that.
Yes, there's
not the real Elvis, I assume, but.
Yeah, they're at the party for the immortals. There are Marilyn Monroe's there, Jim Morrison's there.
Andy Warhol.
Yeah, which is weird because Andy Warhol looked thought he himself was hideous. So the idea that he would hang out in eternity with that body was no, he would have preferred to die. But that's neither here nor there.
Fascinating.
I think unlike The Substance, this is really harnessing 50s romantic comedy energy. I think it is a very interesting subversion of typical rom-com dynamics because it becomes clear very early on that Streep and Hawn, neither one of them have any interest in Bruce Willis as an actual love interest. They're just trying to get at each other. So that's an interesting thing that the crowds out the age commentary and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a very soft fear of age that the people making it were the same age as the characters.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like The Substance, which is full on horror about the expectations and the standard that women should be able to maintain. So this one's a little softer, but it's all, and also don't forget Isabella Rossellini is in this movie as the third woman.
Looking 20 years younger than she did in Blue Velvet, somehow.
Yes, and I don't know if you remember the Chris Farley Weekend Update sketch on Saturday Night Live, where he's complaining about Barbara Carrera, Never Say Never Again, where she's water skiing topless, but her hair is covering her breasts so that there's no nudity. And he puts a blow dryer on a Barbie doll to explain how that's impossible. But
perfectly. That's all we think about is that.
But I was reminded because of the jewel necklaces that she's wearing. Very conspicuously cover up the the bits of her chest, which is fine.
Oh, but do they? I wasn't looking.
But that's what came up is Chris Farley with a hairdryer showing that it's impossible for a woman's hair to cover her breasts while water skiing.
I can see him breaking into the scene and explaining it right there. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. I'll have to look at that next time. Ken, if you ever want to finish a book, I guess you just need to have a mortal enemy so that you become a best-selling author so that you can then steal their spouse. That part of the movie is always fun and interesting to me. Goldie Hawn's character decides to quit being obsessed so that she could write a book so that she could continue her obsession.
And I didn't really understand. I mean, it's a silly comedy, so I don't really bump into too much of the logistics. But she's in an insane asylum of some kind, but they're having her lose weight. But they're in counseling, and she keeps bringing up Meryl Streep's character, and everybody keeps complaining. Where is she? She got like dragged away because she didn't pay her rent, but you don't get thrown into some place with a roof because you don't pay your rent. You get thrown on the street. So where is she that they're, I don't understand.
She's in the loony bin.
She's in somewhere where maybe Brendan Fraser's character from The Whale would be.
I'm not gonna go hard on the fat shit on this episode, but I will point out that when she's talking to the doctor, before the doctor says that she needs to get less crazy to get out of the loony bin, the first thing she actually says is, you need to start losing some pounds. So it's very heavily implied, like, look, if you weren't so fat, you wouldn't be in here with all these crazy people.
And why does she need that much frosting or lard, whatever she's eating? She could have used some of the money that she used to buy that, fill up her pantry with it to pay her rent.
Yeah, an avocado toast.
You beat me by a second. Damn it.
Seriously, the first go round of recording, aside from it sounding terrible as far as audio quality, the first time we covered this on the podcast, it was a great job and covered all the things I would want to cover anyway. And so that's why I had to fill out the rest of the episode with She-Devil references. Aside from, we should definitely spend more time with She-Devil.
Well, completely ignoring what you just said, Thomas, we haven't even gotten into any of the special effects stuff, because this is some very early CGI computer effects mixed with practical. And I forget, because I didn't listen back to the original recording, whatever, how much of it was done in post versus what they had on set, and what the challenges were. What I do seem to remember is that the Goldie Hawn with the big hole in her stomach was like a super huge deal. Like that was the first time that anything like that had been done.
Gastro bypass?
And it's pretty...
Oh, wait! Is that why they have her be like food obsessed obese, needs to lose weight and then shoot a hole in her stomach? Was that?
Ooh. That's some fascinating cultural commentary there.
So I know that they call attention to it, and it's like the big special effect that, you know, that everybody talked about, and they talked about on news programs and whatnot back in
Entertainment Tonight. Yeah, I remember that.
But the physics really bugged me this time, where it never bugged me before, even 92, because there's Meryl Streep's head's getting smashed, turned around, flattened, all that kind of stuff. And the physics of it makes sense. But
okay.
No, I mean, within the context of the narrative, which is absurd.
Okay.
But if there's a huge hole in her stomach, it's not just her stomach, it's her spine. So why isn't that falling down?
How is
she walking?
Okay.
Are you serious?
I never thought about that before, but
it's called
when she was walking around, I was like,
I'm just asking if this is an actual thing that you have a problem with in this movie.
I don't, but I never thought about it before. No, it never occurred to me before until last night. No, I didn't bump up against it, as we like to say in the cocaine business.
Jack, you're safe with me, my man.
But it never occurred to me before, and then once it occurred to me, I was like, well, she should be like wobbling a little bit. My mind just started wandering.
And this is a problem, actually, that I think comedies are very difficult to critique as films, because if you don't vibe with them, then you just see all of the holes. But if you're having a good time, then it doesn't matter, you know, and some of it is even better.
I still love, one of my favorite things I've ever seen is the moment where Goldie Hawn, so there's the melee and they're fighting it out. Bruce Willis is like, I'm just going to go upstairs and drink. And Meryl Streep throws the broken shovel handle, if I remember right, through Goldie Hawn.
Yeah,
like means to hit her. She's like, oh, yeah, wait, no. Which is a great reaction, a great comedy by Streep. And then like they resolve it a little bit. And Goldie Hawn goes to relax on the couch where the handle has been stuck into it. And she just, without looking, accidentally just casually lies back on the couch and the broom is going through her hole.
Yeah.
Just the visual casualness and gag of that happening is so amazing. Like it's
Amazing.
it would ever be just the whole setup and the choreography of that is one of the best things I've seen in a movie.
It's totally Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Speaking of Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching Looney Tunes. I love that. And that scene in particular was one of the times where I laughed a lot while watching Thomas.
Can someone tell me maybe what happens in between like the Elvis party and then the because I woke up at the cut to the funeral, the very last scene.
Bruce Willis chooses death, or not death, but falling.
But he falls into a pool.
Falls into a pool.
Jim Morrison's appreciative.
Yes. Jim Morrison is about to get it on with a groupie of some kind? Or Marilyn Monroe? I don't know.
Supposed to be Nico.
What?
Huh?
Yeah. That's Nico from the Velvet Underground and Nico. They had an affair. It was very... Anyway.
Is that actually what it's supposed to be in the movie? Oh.
She's in the Doors movie too, from the same year.
But I thought everybody at the party were people that quote unquote died young. But what really happened was because of her rule that after 10 years, people start questioning it. So you have to like fake your death.
Yeah, unless you're Elvis and you're ruining
and,
other people.
And again,
yes.
Elvis and Andy Warhol, like some of these people got quite decrepit in public before that happened in this movie. So I'm not sure. And I don't have any, to be fair, I don't have any proof that that's specifically Nico, but she's a blonde. She's dressed similar to how Nico was dressed in the 60s. So I just kind of thought it was
in her underwear?
She wore like negligees and stuff on stage. Yeah.
Okay.
She's a very naked lady in the 60s.
So the pair continues to try and hunt him down and are unable to find him.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And then there's the funeral scene.
Yeah.
And this is something we've talked about before on the pod, I'm sure. I really love just horrible little characters in movies. I love when the main characters, the protagonists, are just nasty little people that you just love to hate. And I love that this movie, it is unfortunate, the Bruce Willis angle, as you explained earlier, I think is definitely a little unfortunate. But I do love how horrible both of these main characters are, Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, to each other and for each other, but how they're the perfect pairing because of that. I love seeing that in a movie. It's just so much fun.
I have a really hard time with movies where there isn't a sympathetic character to latch onto, and maybe that's part of the reason why this one doesn't sit with me.
Unlike High Plains Drifter.
I think Mordecai and the saloon keeper's wife are meant to be moral centers in that film that understand what's going on and can show you what the rest of it's supposed to look like. There's a lot of great stuff. You know, I don't like the Safdie brothers either. They make great movies. It's a personal.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
I bet this is really a really movie.
Yeah.
Where you always know it's Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, and Meryl Streep. They never disappear into the roles. They're having a good time. They're making you laugh. Yeah, they're horrible people, but you never think for an instance like this is really venal about them. It's all in good fun.
Yes.
So I never got the sense that they were like making fun of vain women of a certain age at that time.
When I mean, you know, the bit where Streep's butt lifts and the boobs lift, you know, like I don't think that is I agree with you. I think it's all meant in good fun, and there are a lot of women who of a certain age who would love to walk to the mirror and see that this happen, you know.
Yeah, I mean the jokes about the size of Goldie Hawn's butt when she's all big are kind of unfortunate and haven't dated well.
I do like the fake out though of them at the signing party.
Yeah,
and they say we haven't seen Goldie Hawn since the insane asylum, whatever. And Bruce Willis says something, and they look up, and there's a fake out where you think it's Goldie Hawn and like, oh, she's lost weight. And then that woman moves out of frame, and then Goldie Hawn's just there looking like Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking fantastic.
Yeah, like half her age. I think she was 50 when this got shot.
I think one of the reasons why the fat suit stuff doesn't bother me nearly as much as it does in other movies is even when Goldie Hawn is introduced and she and Bruce Willis are going to see Streep's performance, she is very much defined herself in opposition to Streep. So she doesn't wear makeup. She's very smart. She married a very practical man who makes a lot of money.
She's going to, but
well,
doesn't.
yes. Thank you. So I don't think it's just about the fat stuff. I think the two characters are set up well as just living their whole lives in opposition to one another.
I personally thought Goldie Hawn looked the best in this movie in the first scene where she's wearing glasses and looking plain.
You like a woman in glasses. We've established this on podcasts before.
All right, whatever.
It was actually during She Devil. I'm not trying to bring She Devil back, but it was during She Devil. Andy calls you out for liking Meryl Streep's glasses at the end. She's at Sally Jesse Raphael, and her glasses look like they might be on upside down, but that's the style of the times. I can almost quote both She Devil and our She Devil episode now.
So you know how last week when we talked about High Plains Drifter and subsequent Eastwood films being an apology for some of the themes and actions in High Plains Drifter, given the central dynamic of Death Becomes Her, I feel like Death Becomes Her for Meryl Streep is an extreme apology for She Devil.
And it's almost enough.
I can
We need financial compensation.
I think, and Willis had done Hudson Hawk and Bonfire of the Vanities, so they both tried to do these. Who was that for Bonfire?
Neither.
They both tried to do this screwball 50s, 40s thing before, and neither succeeded. Whereas this one, I'm sort of surprised they didn't. That neither of them went on to do more of the screwball stuff until Devil Wears Prada, I guess.
Yeah, I think Streep. I mean, this film was successful, is my understanding, financially. But it I think the take was she should not be doing comedy.
But she's so funny.
I agree. When she pulls the gummy bear out of her hair and puts it in her mouth when she's meeting her agent in She Devil is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And in this film, she has good moments as well. Jack, I got to ask you from the original recording with your uncle. Have you seen, these are the films that you mentioned not having seen.
Okay.
And I just, like a yes or no, if you would.
Okay.
Little Shop of Horrors.
No.
Because I think you promised me you're going to watch that, so you're a liar. Alien 3.
No.
Beetlejuice.
No.
Dick Tracy.
No.
Okay. Well, those are all films that you had said that you had not seen, and that you were going to remedy
immediately.
Yeah.
Well, I've been kind of busy lately, so.
Beetlejuice is good. I really want to go back and see Dick Tracy. I'm sure it's terrible.
We covered
it
it
is.
on the podcast.
Yeah, we did.
We did Shampoo and Dick Tracy.
Yep.
Oh, a baby.
So if this movie reminded me of a Bob Dylan song, that song would be Forever Young.
Oh,
live at Seattle Center.
Well done.
Well done.
Wow.
And you know what? Because you were recording with your uncle and the ladies were recording somewhere else, we didn't actually hear what Margaret Thatcher thought about the film.
Hello.
What? Holy moly. Maggie, you're back.
Have you seen
MI5 looked into it and that potion does not exist.
Jesus Christ. It's like you guys don't even know how bad it is when it's right in your ear.
No, I can imagine.
It's like, you know those whistles that you can blow and only dogs hear it and they start freaking out?
Yes. Ken is penetrating the sound barrier.
If we want to talk about Roseanne Barr and which part would be improved with her, I think Isabella Rossellini's Bonnie getting out of the pool. Getting out of the pool would have been.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I can see a queer remake where she is in the Bruce Willis role.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Although she probably wouldn't go for that nowadays.
No.
Yep. I did. I was lucky enough to see a trap rap song she recently did in celebration of current events.
What?
Well, just post it on our socials. Truth.
Yeah. I will link to it once we get the Truth social set up. I'm not going to link it on anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Daddy's Home is a jam that the kids are listening to. Roseanne Barr.
Yeah, get on that. So
is that
I
also
think
a song, or is that you're telling people
Get on
to? Yeah,
that's going to be the name of our next theme song.
Isn't that a St. Vincent song?
Get on that or get on it?
Daddy's Home?
Daddy's Home.
That is yeah.
That's an album, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an album.
Good album.
Not a good album.
Great album.
No.
Actually, a great album.
Very bad.
Isn't that produced by the David Koepp of
of
current music?
Yes, of female singer-songwriters.
In the last few years, we have been able to revisit that album and admit that it's actually really good. It's just no one was ready for it at the time.
Okay, fair enough.
I did not enjoy that picture.
I think Silvestri's score for Death Becomes Her is also really underlines the Looney Tunes aspect of it without getting too jaunty and cartoonish.
Yeah.
I think the opening theme song, which starts out very noirish and then halfway through turns into like a Looney Tunes, kind of sets up the whole movie for you. And if you're in with just the credits and the music, then I think the whole movie works. If it's too much of a record scratch, then probably not.
The craft in this movie is astonishing, and just, it's a tried and true thing to complain about all the money that goes to CG now, but the sets, the costumes, the lighting, and the cinematography in this film is just really like the best that Hollywood had to offer.
Oh yeah, Dean Cundy, he was one of the best back then. Didn't he do Jurassic Park?
He would. Yeah.
Lame. Yeah. Wow. I mean, a great lenser, as they say in Variety reviews.
Mm-hmm.
They also call westerns odors.
What?
Never liked that.
Odors?
Odors.
Like an ode to...
No, oat. Like oat. Like oats that horses eat or something? I don't fucking know. They call them odors for some reason.
What?
I don't know. Look it up.
I thought you meant odor, like it's an ode to the Old West. That would
I like that.
Sense.
Yeah.
Odor?
Anyway, Death Becomes Her, guys.
Boo!
Watch it.
No.
Yeah.
Boo!
Good movie.
And if you want more on this episode or on Death Becomes Her, listen to the one shot we did. What?
Yeah, it's a good,
right after my birthday, you recorded it in 2023.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, they did. I wasn't part of it.
Me either.
Yeah. Before I forget, thanks for Andy for doing the open.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
For making us feel like wums.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to Ryan. Thanks to Ryan for our beautiful theme song. Hey! It's the most beautiful theme song anybody's ever heard.
It's better than the first 3 seasons. Yeah, that's for sure.
Hey,
are great themes.
Oh, I thought that's what I was just yes-anding. I thought that's what you were saying, Ken.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't. I don't know the improv. I know odors, but I don't know improv. Oh, I know odors. Jack's plugging his nose right now.
The end of this episode, bad odor.
We are pairing. Yeah, we're going to start our pairing of. So these were picked by 2 separate people, but we combined them because it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of tasteless. It's the whale and pig.
Pig and the whale, just like Noah Baumbach.
Yes, the squid and the whale.
So
we will be watching. I think Pig will come first if we're doing it in when it came out. Pig and then the whale.
Yeah,
2 films I haven't seen.
Yes. Jack picked Pig. And Thomas, did you pick The Whale?
No.
Ryan did. Ryan
Ryan.
picked The Whale because he was on the episode and he never finished watching it. But you're going to this time, right?
I'm
buddy?
so excited.
Yes, and on air a few episodes ago, I promised to Thomas that I would sit down and actually watch the picture.
And unlike some of us who promise to watch movies on this podcast, Ryan intends on keeping his promise.
We'll see. I haven't actually tried to sit through this thing yet, so. But I have the film will play, I will sit in a chair, and my eyes will be open and pointed towards the screen for approximately 2 hours of Aronofsky's.
And it's not a movie theater, so you're not going to be on your phone during it.
No. That's only for kids' movies. My God, you turn the thing down, no one notices. Kids are standing on their chairs and singing songs that are not in the film you're watching.
Hey, I saw this guy
Wow.
texting during Schindler's List.
The best was Jenny and I went to see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and halfway through the film I noticed the guy sitting next to me. It was really loud. It was during like an action scene. A guy was talking, and then I looked down and he was doing talk to text, and then he was turning to his son and bitching about how the Google couldn't understand his talk to text because the movie was so loud.
Holy shit.
It was wild.
Yeah.
I just get mad when somebody's explaining to their friend with failing vision what's going on during the musical watching. That's a whole other level of. That's what we call a callback.
Yeah, well, Hell or High Water, man, there was the old couple, and she was telling him every single thing that was being said because his hearing was failing.
Wow.
That's the last time. That was in pre-COVID times where you didn't have to pick your seat; you could move.
Hey, for both The Whale and well, maybe
Pig and
I'll
the
save this for
Whale.
next week for the things that these two have in common. But for both Pig and The Whale, I watched it at the Cinemark on 82nd. And in both of them, the same dude, I swear it's the same dude, he was sitting in the same spot, fell asleep and was snoring.
Oh, that was probably the same guy that was at Goodbye Dragon Inn at the Hollywood. He probably makes a tour of it.
Absolute legend, just
All
like
right.
Margaret Thatcher.
Great.
Maggie,
Okay,
take us
Yeah.
out.
all right.
I ain't gonna work Maggie's farm no more. That's another Bob
Oh,
Dylan song.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that is a good
Man,
one.
you're on the Dylan. Shit. Is that it? Are we done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. This was an absolute delight. I enjoyed rewatching Death Becomes Her. So all's good.
Awesome.
Good night, America.
I'm gonna start posting. I'll post like the rankings by.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, we're still recording, Ryan.
Are we?
Oh, keep talking. This is good stuff. This is hot content. We are on Letterbox now. Good Pod Ugly is on Letterbox. You can follow us there. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Blue
Mastodon.
Sky. You can follow us on Mastodon. You can follow us on
True Social,
True Social.
MySpace, tribes.net.
So follow us on the socials. You can also text us off of Spotify.
You can?
Yeah, go ahead and text us. Shoot us a note. Tell us how terrible we are.
Wow.
His number is 360-9. Now you have to bleep that out or something.
Unless someone has something funny to show us off. Say something funny.
I don't hate it.
Come
I
on,
just
Thomas.
don't know
Act right.
why you're straight from the formula.
You bastards! You don't know it, Bob. I'm an artist. And I must reflect that in my rhyme.
ask questions you do not want the answers to.
Sid. I want to stay my early 20s forever.
Oh,
I didn't bump up against it, as we like to say in the cocaine business.
Sid.
In her underwear?